Very good. All right. I call the meeting of the Northborough-Southborough Regional School Committee open meeting of Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 to order at 6:32 p.m. Before we begin the meeting, I would just like to indicate that the public hearing for the FY26 budget has been rescheduled for a virtual meeting on Tuesday, March 25th at 8 o'clock p.m. At this time, I will entertain any audience sharing or public comment. I would also like to indicate that we have one, sorry, Paul.
Just read the editorial in the Harbinger about navigating the noise and the idea of just vetting your news sources, and I couldn't agree more with this. As a journalist by training, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in this country right now. Everyone's in their own bubble, and that's all I get. So kudos to the Harbinger team for a well-timed editorial.
I'm sure that along there currently in New York City on the Columbia Press Association group here, and really proud of it.
Great. Thank you, Paul. I would also just like to remind the audience that we have one remote member, Joan Frank. Joan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Great, thank you, Joan. All right, at this time, I'd like to move on to action on minutes. I am looking for a motion to approve the Audit Subcommittee meeting minutes of March 18th, 2024, the Capital Planning Subcommittee meeting minutes of November 18th, 2024, the Operational Budget Subcommittee meeting minutes of December 16th, 2024, the Audit Subcommittee meeting minutes of February 10th, 2025, the Open Meeting minutes of February 26th, 2025, and the Operational Budget Subcommittee meeting minutes of March 5th, 2025.
So moved.
Moved by Paul. Second by John. Any discussion? All right, we'll have a roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I am a yes, the
Yes.
motion. Great, thank you. I am a yes, the motion passes unanimously. On to educational policy. There is none at this time. And next is the legislative update, new business.
So I did include a co-authored letter by the Mass Association of School Superintendents, the Mass Association of Regional Schools, and the Massachusetts School Business Officials. They drafted a letter for districts to use to send to their legislative delegation requesting that the one-time FY24 SHARE Act surplus funding go to the FY26 state budget line item increases to offset some of the increased costs that districts are seeing. So that letter is linked in the memo that I did send, and that has been sent to Northborough-Southborough legislative delegation.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have the World Languages Department presentation.
So we welcome Emily Squires, who's the department chair for the languages department. She's going to share some updates and information with you tonight. So presenting here.
Emily, do you want to sit in this with me?
Yeah. Next, all the way through. You're ready to go. Tagging off to Ms. Galen.
Yeah. Whatever you're comfortable doing.
You can stand.
I am. You need to stand, yes. Hi, thank you for having me here. Again, as Mr. Bevin said, I am Emily Squires, the department chair of the World Language Department here at the high school. And so I'm here to update you on what has been happening since the last time I was here 2 years ago. The blink of an eye. So this is a list of our teachers, has not changed much, and once again I am joined by Mrs. Augustina Harmon. She is a Spanish teacher, and she's teaching levels 1, 2, and 3, so she wanted to come and support, and we appreciate her presence tonight. And then you can see we've always had French, Spanish, and Latin, and I'm proud to start to add Portuguese because we have added Portuguese for Heritage students, which I will get to in a couple minutes. Oh, or right now. So the last time I was here, we had just proposed, and the incoming school year, we were going to implement Portuguese for Heritage Learners 1, which started last year, and this year we have added Portuguese for Heritage Learners 2, so that those students can have, if possible, 2 years of the language for their transcript purposes and completion. We do have Spanish for Heritage Learners. We have not run it yet. We are hoping, once again this year, to have a sufficient amount of students to have the class. So we're still working on that, hoping for that, but Portuguese 1 and 2 have had a successful start. So I can also give you a teeny bit of information about what the classes look like. And so one of our newer teachers, Ms. Smith, is doing Portuguese for Heritage Learners 1. And so she has been working with students. So an important thing to understand when we're talking about the heritage classes is that the small group of students that we have, their proficiency levels, especially for their literacy skills, vary widely. And so the focus of the class is to help these students kind of have their literacy skills, reading and writing, kind of come up to meet their output skills, which are speaking and listening, because they've grown up and they've had that as in their surroundings for so long. So Ms. Smith, because the class is so small, she is able to do a lot of individualized attention and kind of like helping students set goals and like work on incrementally increasing their literacy skills. Another really interesting and cute fact is that it's really great because the students also help each other. There are some students who are just learning or really wanting to work on their spoken skills because they want to be able to communicate with family members who don't speak as much English, but they do speak Portuguese. And then we have students who are very strong in their spoken skills in Portuguese. And so it's a really great community where the students are helping each other kind of back and forth. And so that is something that just kind of started organically, but she's really proud of. Portuguese for Heritage 2 are the students that are continuing from last year's Portuguese for Heritage 1. And Ms. Souza, since she kind of was the one to kind of get this program off the ground, she has really leveraged working with the library, and they're starting to build a Portuguese, kind of like the Portuguese collection, mostly for fiction, so that those students have some high interest reading for them to be able to use. So it's really about a lot of collaboration and teamwork, and working together, and kind of also being able to individually meet the needs of students in that class. And my students that I invited just arrived. I just wanted to introduce them to you quickly. I will keep it concise. So Olivia, Parker, and Gabby, can you stand up? So all 3 of them have been my students for the last few years, not this year, unfortunately. Olivia is a former EL, correct, Olivia? Yep, so she is trilingual. Olivia also she earned the Seal of Biliteracy in Spanish last year. And Parker also earned the Seal of Biliteracy last year in Spanish. She's been my TA this year for the first half of the school year, not anymore, unfortunately. And Gabby was also my student for 3 years, and she's the example of learning Portuguese because she wants to be able to connect and work on that to communicate with her family. So you guys say hi. You can sit down. Thank you. That was perfect timing. So that is.
Yes, please, thank you for coming.
So to continue, I showed this last time I was here, but I did want to show again that the modes that we are using through the Massachusetts World Language Standards, I have matched them in the different other areas that we are working towards in our curriculum, how they align to the district's portrait or the profile, the vision we have of students who complete our high school program. So I'm just kind of there for your reference, just so you can see how really what we're doing in the World Language Department with language development and proficiency really is coming alongside our students to help them with what we as a district have been hoping to see in our students as they leave our district. This is not new either. I had it last time, but just to remind you, this is the proficiency cone. And so you can see that when we start at the beginning level, it's a teeny tiny part of the cone, and then we go through that the fastest. Most of our programming here at the high school, the students spend most of their time in intermediate, and it is our goal that they leave with a functional level of language, and so anywhere in intermediate is going to serve that purpose for them. And then if they continue into higher education, et cetera, then they start to get into obviously advanced language abilities. This is also another reference, and this is going to connect in a few slides to the Seal of Biliteracy results from the last 2 years. But so as you can see, we have oral proficiency levels in the workplace, and the reason why the Seal of Biliteracy is awarded for intermediate high scores on all 4 modes is because that is indicating that the person who has earned the Seal of Biliteracy has a functional level of language, and at the very minimum, those are the very practiced and very easily anticipated environment, context that students would be able to navigate at the very minimum. They're certainly capable of many others, but that's just kind of to show what level of language we would need to be able to participate outside in the world outside of the classroom. Okay, oopsies. And then really quickly, before I get into the exciting stuff, this Making Languages Our Business was a report that was published in conjunction with ACTFL, which is the national organization that oversees our standards and that the Massachusetts standards fall under. LTI, which is Language Testing International, that's the company that we use for testing for the Seal of Biliteracy, and then Pearson is a education publisher. And so, got it. So really, my really quick takeaways that came out of that report that I think are important is there's a growing demand for bilingual workers. Majority of U.S. employers report a rising need for employees with foreign language skills, especially in customer service. Companies see multilingual employees as a valuable asset for expanding into new markets and improving customer relationships. Spanish does top the list of needed languages. Chinese follows that with French, Japanese, and German. And many employers are struggling to find candidates with both language proficiency and industry-specific knowledge, which leads to hiring difficulties. And then lastly, a lack of multilingual employees can have negative effects on businesses, including lost business opportunities, difficulty serving diverse customer base, and limited international growth. So those are the main takeaways that I wanted to share, because offering the Seal of Biliteracy in the district supports that our students are actually going to be able to start to fill this need that we're going to continue seeing in the working world. So I have the information from the last 2 years from the Seal of Biliteracy recipients to 2023. That's 35 students who earned the Seal of Biliteracy. 9 of those earn the Seal of Biliteracy with distinction, meaning they have all advanced scores, 4 advanced scores. Regular Seal of Biliteracy is intermediate high scores or a mix, and so distinction is all advanced. And then you can see the languages that they earned it in 2023, and then here in 2024, last year, we had 99 students who earned the Seal of Biliteracy, and 24 of them with distinction.
Can I ask a question now? You want to wait till the end?
Oh, whatever you wish.
Okay. So, do we have stats and or percentages on sort of how we rank with other schools as it relates to the percentage of students total? So, for instance, we have this year 99 students earning the Seal of BBL with this SOBL. How many students total in the curriculum do we have? So, what percentage of that is? And therefore, and how much does it actually compare against other schools?
Last year, there were about, I'd say about 230 students total who took the exam. So the 99 of them earned the Seal of Biliteracy.
So almost a 50% fail.
I wouldn't say fail. I would say that they are not obtaining the seal. That does not mean that I wouldn't say failing, because many of those students are landing in intermediate mid, which is still, it's very close to intermediate high. It's just simply not the score to obtain the Seal of Biliteracy, but they are still finishing within the intermediate range, which is I can delve into that.
It's more curiosity than, so I didn't, you don't have it, but I wonder whether or not we should consider using that as a stat.
So Emily, if a student does not pass, they can retake it.
Yes.
So of the 214 who took it, 99 passed.
Yep, and
And
some of
then-
those, so last year, some of those were retakes of some students.
Next year, we'll have some more retakes.
Yeah, some students retook a section if it was a matter of between an I-4 and an I-5. Other students, we recommended that, so students who take it here in the school, like within the school, within our department are gonna be your level 4 Spanish and French, level 3 Latin. And so for students who have not earned it yet, we recommend, or I recommend that, I'm gearing up to offer it again in a couple more weeks. And so those students are gonna come and retake some sections after having been in AP Spanish and Spanish 5. They've been progressing through another like very high, intermediate high class anyways, so I anticipate that they'll be able to.
And another way to look at this data is 1 out of every 11 or 12 students has achieved the seal of biliteracy, so I think that is a positive trend.
In the Spanish 4 honors classes, there were 4, so that's about 80-something students last year, and I think it was about 68 students total for the Spanish 4 honors have achieved the seal of biliteracy as well. So,
Sorry, 60 at a time?
the Spanish 4 honors classes last year was about 80-ish students, yeah, 3/4 of the Spanish. Of the Spanish 4 honors students achieved the seal of biliteracy last year.
I think the other thing that I know that you and I talked about, Emily, is just looking from 2023 to 2024. It's partially that it is more known. Like, we don't teach Chinese, but our students who maybe are bilingual are now becoming aware that this is something they can do through the school. So we're really working, and Emily has come to our LPAC meetings and explained this to families. So we're really working for students to understand the opportunity this presents. So it's relatively new data for us to have, and I think could be going forward a really helpful thing for us to look at more carefully. And we'll continue to change because it's new. There'll be some big growth from year to year.
So I also don't necessarily want to become like an SAT. Do students study for this, or do the teachers just say, we think do it? How does it work?
So really, I mean, as far as when we offer it in the department, the test matches what we do proficiency-wise. Students are always working on being able to talk about themselves and talking in an organized, cohesive manner and presenting writing in the same fashion. So it's something that we're always working on, and we do a little bit of, we kind of gear them towards a little bit of Apple prep, but it's something that, especially in level 4, but since we've been implementing the new state frameworks, it's actually starting to look that way through the levels, starting with level 2 and 1. So it's had a trickle down, and now it's going to have a trickle up.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes. Results. Good. Yes. Yeah. Okay, and now the fun stuff. So I have a lot of things to tell you about what our students have been doing. So back in December, these are Mrs. Lawler's, the Spanish teacher students. These are Spanish 5 and AP. They participated in their own version of Noche de Rabanos, the Night of the Radishes, which is celebrated in Oaxaca, Mexico. And where in Oaxaca, they carve very large radishes. We have small ones, but they did different scenes, and they voted, so we did that too. They displayed them in the cap. There was one that was like a Moana scene, and there was some, like, they definitely did like a holiday scene as well, so it was a wide variety. And it was very well received. It was very fun. Last year, Mrs. Lawler also organized a field trip. That was last year, 2024, 2025. Field trip to Ritmo's dance company, where we learned and practiced some of the Latin dances, and this year included salsa, plena, and then bachata. There's one more and I couldn't remember, but it was very, very fun. All the students danced and participated, and it was very, very enjoyable. It's very well received. And then at the end, we ordered che empanada for them to eat, and those are also very delicious. And then we returned to the school. Here you see some Portuguese work. On the left is, I think it is pros and cons of studying abroad or something like that. So they're working on presenting information in an organized fashion. They're working on that in Portuguese as well. On the right-hand side, Miss Smith's Portuguese 1 class, they created children's books, and they're going to go read them to the Tiny Titans so that the Tiny Titans can see and hear other language as well, right, I believe? Okay, thank you. Oh, the preschool kids, the program that we have here in the school. Here you have an example of Latin. The Latin program has adapted a new textbook series called Superani, and it was chosen because it is created by Latin teachers for Latin teachers. And so Mr. Staines, Sean Staines, had this, which was kind of making posts based on the characters from their textbook in Latin and kind of interpersonally written that way. So that's an example of that. French has made, we have lots of posters hanging up now, which is always very fun. So French did some places, I'm sorry, those are tiny, places that they like to or want to visit in France and Paris. World Language Week was a couple weeks ago at the very beginning of March, and so everybody participated in the poster contest offered by MACLO, which is the state foreign language teaching organization. And the theme this year is To the Seal and Beyond, conveniently. So that is one example. There's many, many posters hanging up. I just have a few. To the Seal and Beyond. And these are exceptionally beautiful. Lots of seals and lots of space. Oops. And then I have a couple more things, and I'm so sorry I don't have examples to show you, but another thing that I would like to mention is that if you were to walk down, and it's something I can't take pictures of, if you were to walk down our hallway, we are always having students interacting and working with each other. They like to work in the hall, but they work with each other and they interact in their target language. You will see teachers having conversations to help assess students and help them set goals so that they can continue with their language proficiency progress. So that's something that you would see that I'm unable to capture for you that way. And then lastly, the Spanish Honor Society has they started last year and they just did this yesterday. They started speaking workshop for interpersonal speaking skills, and about 21 students attended yesterday. And we also had invited, or Mr. Greenwald had invited 4 of the ELD students who are native Spanish speakers to come and work with our students with prompts, and so the students were able to gauge like how well they're understood by a native speaker, which is kind of one of the things that we want to help them with. So that was a big success, and there's one more coming up at the beginning of April. That is what I have to share with you tonight.
Thank you. All right, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Squire? Matt?
I don't know if this is a question for you or for Sean. I feel like I heard from a community member that there might be a moratorium on international travel that gets approved by the school committee. And I guess, is that true? And then 2, is there a desire of the World Language Program to supplement learning with international travel or trips that support language growth?
That would probably be a better question.
We have a policy.
Yes, the Joint Policy Subcommittee has drafted a international travel policy for the first read that will take place.
No, we
already had
did
the first read
last
in March. So to provide opportunities for international travel, and I'm sure the World Language Department would see that as an opportunity to provide students with opportunities to expand their language knowledge and acquisition through international travel.
We did have some community members speak on that either last spring or this fall, and as a result, the policy committee has been working on that. And then the last meeting was long, so it was way down the list. But there is a policy in there for first read, so that could come back
So
up.
June will be the second read, and if it gets approved, then
Travel can happen.
Is there a reason that we don't travel with other schools do?
yes, there's a rationale. In the past, there was international travel, and there was an incident in the early 2000s that was
20 years ago?
pretty impactful and significant to Algonquin, and there has been no international travel been a lot of conversation around reestablishing the policy. I think in 2017 and 18, it was discussed. So we're finally now getting to a place where potentially there'll be an opportunity again.
It was mostly the lawyers that told us not to.
Yeah.
So we're working through that.
It also probably wasn't fully through the school.
That was through the school.
It was, okay.
We've had a couple of situations in the past 2 decades that legal counsel cautioned us to continue, and now we're in a place where we work with legal counsel to have a policy that meets the needs of Algonquin and also meets our legal obligations.
So, thank you. So this subcommittee that's working on this policy, when will this policy come up for vote?
So it was at the last combined meeting for our first read.
It was just at the last one?
Yep, so that,
It was first read.
yep, so the June combined meeting,
I didn't understand that that was.
it'll be
specific about that.
a second,
Okay.
so June. So
And if approved, will there be a trip next year?
potentially there could be.
That's something that the world language department want to support, or would it be the club-based? Would you have any thoughts on that?
There is interest on both, like for teachers and students to travel. I always get those questions on open house night as well. I think it's certainly possible next year. I think the next year would be better just for gauging interest in painting and all that stuff. But yeah, that certainly could be near future if it were to work out.
Yeah, I would say a year from this summer, there could be an international travel opportunity for students.
Paul?
Yeah, I think I heard you say one of the students is here as a TA. I wasn't aware we had TAs. Can you explain what
Yeah.
that is?
At the high school, there are students who have taken a class and they can come back and during, like if they have a study, they can opt to kind of have a productive period in the day, so they assist a teacher. And Parker was in my period C, which is my 2 CP class, and Parker has the seal by literacy. He has intermediate high language, actually higher than that. And so he was a really good example for the students. He would help in with class activities, with speaking. They ask him questions, and because they're working at novice high language, so he was fully capable of helping them. So it can work out well to have a student assist, and that helps me help some of the students who may need a little bit more directed assistance and guidance while we're working on all our language. But yeah,
That's a great idea.
it was very good, very effective. I miss him this semester.
All right, Joan?
Thank you, Chris. Emily, thank you very much for your presentation. Seeing the statistics there about the number of students from 23 to 24, the number of languages, and the number of students who achieve the level of distinction is tripled from 23 to 24. So congratulations on that. And maybe just to help, it's not a comparison to the same state, John. You asked about a comparison between other schools. I will give a comparison between 2 states, Massachusetts and Connecticut. I have a friend who teaches in Westport, Connecticut, and when I shared during the summer the numbers that we had, that I have the data from last year, we had exceeded what Westport, Connecticut had done. And I was very pleased in that, because I thought they would be a little bit higher because they've been doing this so by literacy for several years. So that's just a little comparison there. Emily, how many years have we been doing this seal by literacy for the students? Another question is, what is the benefit of this seal when the students go to college? And is there some distinction that's put on their diploma that they have achieved this?
Yes, those are all the questions I could have included them earlier. Okay, what was the first one?
How many years?
Okay, sorry. I believe that the state law passed in the late 2010s, and I think that Nicole, remember the previous department chairs started to get this off the ground with the test and offering the seal by literacy. So I think that there was like one small round of it. Then COVID happened. And so I also, so the first year that I have data from was from 2022, like from a full, like a range of like our classes, and then also the seniors and home languages. And so it had been in the works for quite a while, just because of everything that's happened, you know, everywhere. It's finally, we've gotten like the momentum starting in 2022, I think. And so with the seal of biliteracy, when students obtain it, they get a seal sticker on their diploma, but they also do get a digital one on their transcript when it is when they're sent out to college. But if they achieve it in their senior year, it will be put onto their final transcript that will again go to their whatever college they're ending up at. And so reasons to how they benefit from it, I would say that the main benefit is that many of the Massachusetts state colleges and universities offer a significant amount of credit for students who have earned the seal of biliteracy, and then a few more credits beyond that for the seal of biliteracy with distinction. I was very happy to see that this year UMass Amherst had listed like what they will offer for the seal of biliteracy. So for instance, at UMass Amherst, students who achieve the seal of biliteracy with the intermediate high scores, they're able to receive 12 credits. I don't know if it's like world language or humanities, whatever the case may be, but they have earned already 12 credits, and they're placing themselves into the beginning of the 300 levels of language. So they've already hopped up all the way into intermediate high language at the university level. And then if they have earned the seal of biliteracy with distinction at UMass Amherst, they get 15, and they're actually starting up into like the 3.0 whatever classes. So many of the other state schools, they also offer like on average like 9 to 12 or so, but UMass Amherst is significant. So I was very happy to see that. So the seniors, it's starting to matter to them now as they're looking at their, and they've told me that it's starting to matter to them now. All states offer the seal of biliteracy. I think eventually it will start to be able to be reciprocated. I think that if students do go out of state having earned the seal, I think they're just going to have to do a little bit of extra advocating just to kind of figure out how they can work what they have earned into an out-of-state school. I don't think it's impossible, but definitely significant amount of credit in many Massachusetts state colleges and universities.
Okay, thank you, Emily, and thank you for offering this to our students, which is a win-win situation. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Joe, you want to tell your friend in Connecticut that we have 99 this year?
Okay, I can't wait till I get there in December. Boy, am I going to do some great. Definitely.
All right, thank you very much. And I also want to thank again Olivia, Parker, and Gabby. Congratulations on your accomplishments. So, thank you very much for coming in. Thank you very much for your presentation.
We just hope your TAs don't unionize.
I wanted to say one quick thank you that Emily also, it did not come up in what she shared, but she plays a really big role in working with our middle school and elementary world language teachers, and has just provided a lot of leadership and support in thinking about this program K through 12. And I'm really grateful for her expertise and her initiative in doing that, which is above and beyond. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the support that we received. I couldn't do it without you guys either.
Thank you. All right. Keith, was there any ability?
We're good. We're going to continue as.
We're good as is? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. At this time, we will have the career exploration and innovation update.
Sure. So I think, Michelle, do you want to go and order?
It's
Here. Oh, this is great.
Yes,
This is perfect.
I think this is just.
You want to sit now that we're here and not there. Oh, no. Okay.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Michelle Kalin, who is our career exploration and innovation leader. You've met her before briefly, but this is really the first time I think we really heard about her work, which is really outstanding this year, and we're excited to share some news.
Little known fact is I also had the opportunity to chaperone the dance field trip, which is 2 years in a row. It's fabulous because it's not just about dance. They learn a lot about culture and history as well. It's embedded by the dance teacher. So a little bit of a job perk for me that I get to see what's going on in our classrooms as well. I'm just going to talk about a few of the things that I've been working on in my time here, and one of the highlights has really been the opportunity to partner with some of our classroom teachers who have reached out to me to bring career-related speakers into the classroom. So I've given you a few examples here. One that has been pretty significant is our early childhood education teacher, Susan Muse, who runs the Tiny Titans preschool as well. Really wanted to expose her students to other careers working with children, because she sometimes has students who come in who want to work with kids but they don't want to teach necessarily. So the picture, we have two pictures kind of in the middle here of Ann Maris and Kate LaFave, who came in this year. We had a number of other professionals who came into her class in particular to talk to kids about their positions and how they work with kids as well. One of the other nice things is that both Anne and Kate are parents in our community of high school kids, so it's kind of nice for them to make that connection too. Also, Mrs. Muse's Learning Through Play class, we welcomed David Bisnick, who's a former product designer from Hasbro. He came in with lots of toys that he kept from his work and really kind of showed students how the design process works. It was very, very cool and very fun. And one of the exciting things for me, so he's somebody I went to high school with, so it was really exciting to see how enthusiastic he was about his work. On the bottom right, we have Tim Alley, who owns a marketing company based in Worcester called Monk Creative. Katie Salt, who's one of our history teachers, had reached out. She teaches public speaking, and she was looking for a professional who uses public speaking in his work to be able to talk to her students about public speaking and how he uses it in his work. So one nice thing is that he actually came in last year, that photo's from last year, but they realized that they actually are kind of neighbors in Shrewsbury. They made the contacts, and now she just reaches out to him directly each semester to be able to schedule that. So that's been kind of a nice transition there. And on the top right, John Cahill teaches sports entertainment marketing. He reached out to me because he wanted to try to see if we could get somebody who works in that industry. I said, I think I might know like a couple people. So I was able to get in touch with somebody from the Movie Sox, who was the coordinator of marketing and fan engagement, and he came in and spoke, St. John's grad. Okay. He came in and spoke with our students, and they loved it. And so those are just a couple of examples of how we've been able to bring professionals into the classroom to show them that career connection. A couple of other initiatives. I think Sean's going to talk a little bit about the Career Expo that he and I just brought students to, so I'll leave that, but the top picture is actually a photo from this year's Career Expo where students got to learn about a range of different fields. Coming in April, I'm going to be taking a group of students to a construction and trade expo, which is going to be in Marlborough. It's an event that's put on by Youth Connections, which is a nonprofit organization, to again help expose students to a range of careers. I have about 20 students signed up for that right now, so I'm excited. Last year I think I brought 5. So the more the word spreads about different opportunities, and the more that I figure out the best ways to communicate with students and get the message out, we're able to kind of broaden these things. The last thing is kind of a big thing that I'm working on right now is planning a junior class career exploration event, or kind of mini conference for students on June 4th. Right now I'm gathering interests from each individual student through a survey that I sent out to them to find out what their top industry cluster interests are out of the 16 industry clusters. I'm going to be inviting speakers in to represent those industry clusters and speak to students about their career. So it's kind of a big, it's a big event. I think Claire, you probably already filled out your survey. That's going to be on June 4th, and I'm excited about it. It's a little bit different. Yeah.
So recently, my daughter was off a little How does the 60 category, so I know you're following all the same protocols and so everything's consistent, and so everything's going to line up consistently?
Yeah, so I work pretty closely with guidance, and technically we're different departments, but we're in communication a lot. So I'm aware of the different assessments that they do with the sophomores, and we actually timed they used to do those assessments a little bit later in the year. We talked last year about pushing them a little bit earlier, so I believe they did them around December of this year. So that students could then start thinking about, okay, well, I have this information, what am I going to do with it next? What classes might, right, they're going through course registration right now, what classes might I want to take to support those interests? And think about those kinds of questions and how might I take the next steps to explore. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. The next thing I'm going to talk about is kind of the big thing, and I know you've heard me talk about the internship program before. Now it's really kind of coming into its own a little bit. Last summer I launched the program with 4 students, and they were kind of individually picked students based on the internships that I had. Right now, spring 2025 is the first academic semester cohort. We have 11 students, one of whom we're going to meet in just a little bit. But I am going to point out a couple of them. On the top left is Jesslyn. She is doing social media marketing for a nonprofit organization based in Worcester. This photo was taken last week because they did a youth mental health summit, and she was able to actually get excused absences from school for the day to be able to go and work the summit and attend some of the sessions, which is really cool. Mia, who is holding Marshall, the comfort dog, who I also have met. He's a little chunky, so I'm impressed that she's holding him. She is interning at the Northborough Police Department. On the top right is Drew Speroni. He is interning with our real estate agency, so that's going to work. And I did do, like, the other ones were site visits. And then the bottom right is River, and he is working at a barber shop, and that's his goal, is to be a barber. After he graduates, he plans to apply to Rob Lloyd to be able to get his training. The internship program, students complete 75 hours of internship experience. They respond to journal prompts that I provided them with. We have a Canvas tile, so everything's kind of done online. And then they'll also be working on a final project that showcases what they did on their internships and what they got out of their experiences. And then they'll present their, it's like a triangle board. They call it like a science fair, but for internships, where we will invite the mentors and teachers, whoever wants to come. You all are very welcome to come to see what the students have done during their time. At the moment, I am meeting with the 42 applicants who applied for the 4-week summer program. So I've been very busy meeting with them and just continuing to, identify placements, partner with businesses and organizations to see where students would be able to go. Before I invite Claire to hang up, I just want to see if there are any questions specifically for me. Yeah?
Do they have to take out a academic project like that? Or is it?
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
Take a slot there.
Yes. So during the academic year, it does take a slot in their schedule. It doesn't mean that's when they're going to their internship. That makes sense? They meet with me, and I try to work with them to identify a placement. Once we identify something and it's gotten set, so for the upcoming school year and the next fall, it would need to be kind of pretty much done by the end of the school year so that they know. Right, so what happens is students still register for classes as they normally do. I want them to have a full schedule. If we need to put internship in and take something out, we can do that. I don't want to do it the other way around, because I don't want students to miss out on something that, or, if we don't find something that's a good fit for them, I don't want them to sort of get, miss out on something in a different class. So it looks a little different over the semester versus during the summer. So 4 weeks versus drawn out over the full semester.
I will share anecdotally, I had a meeting with a student on a totally unrelated matter, and he had to finish the meeting a little early because he had to report to work, and the work that he named, I asked him what his job was the place where he had his summer internship. So he had worked with, he's reporting to work now, his part-time job is at Firefly Coders, which is where he worked as an intern over the summer. It was Tyler. And so here we're already at the end of one. I mean, one of the 4 students who did this summer, so all I know the others as well. But that's the kind of
Yeah, he did get hired inspired from that, yeah. That's a good one, yep. I'm going to invite Claire up. Claire Tang is a junior here at Algonquin, and she's just going to talk about her internship with Becky in the Northwest Southwest Schools Finance Department.
Yeah, so I'm Claire, I'm a junior at Algonquin, and this spring I'm doing an internship with Ms. Pellegrino in the finance department. So the way my hybrid internship works is I do, because it's a 2.5 credit slot in my schedule, I do have a study hall period every day. So I work at school remotely for 4 days a week, and then on Monday afternoons from 3:30 to 4:30, I go into the office and I meet with Ms. Pellegrino where I talk about my current projects that I'm working on, like upcoming potential projects, and also just like progress checks and stuff like activities that I've been working on. So some activities I've been working on so far are a renters insurance project and a bus procurement project. So first for renters insurance, back when I first started my first project, for that I would kind of reach out to all the school administrative assistants from all the North Coast, South Coast schools, and I'd compile information and insurance, copies of certificates of insurance to kind of just collect and gather information about renters that are renting the areas and just places in our schools. So for example, the gyms or the auditorium, cafeteria for certain events, and just recent renters for this school year and kind of upcoming in the year. And then right now, a project I'm working on is for bus procurement, where I kind of also compile information that bidders, contractors, bus drivers, stuff like that, just things that they need to do, they're expected to do, or any like forms that they're required to submit and stuff like that. So kind of just picking out different things to make sure that they know what they're expected of in their contract terms, which I'm working on right now. And then some skills I've developed throughout my internship so far that are really important to me are communication, collaboration, and professionalism. In both my bus procurement projects and renters insurance projects, I've had to reach out through email or phone call or stuff like that to third-party renters or the school administrative assistants to ask for help in compiling information or just answering certain questions that I have and getting to know more about the schools and how they work. And through that, I feel like I've developed a lot of good collaboration skills and kind of work very closely with a lot of the other adults at Algonquin and then North Coast, South Coast schools. And I feel like kind of going with that professionalism integrated itself along the way through emails and phone calls. I feel like I've been a lot more comfortable kind of just sending and receiving emails and checking my emails and stuff like that all the time, kind of just staying in contact with teachers, Ms. Pellegrino and Ms. Kaylin all the time throughout the day. And then just a broad reflection on the experience. I think it's been really great and really fun so far. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I really like this opportunity because I've gotten to learn a lot that I don't really learn at school, like the renters insurance, the bus procurement and stuff. And I feel like throughout my work, I'm treated like a coworker, and I feel like they give me a lot of like good work that I can really learn from and kind of take away in any of my future experiences. So yeah.
Thank you, Claire.
Any questions?
Great job. Yeah, that was awesome.
Claire, is this helping you, like, think about where you want to go in the future?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first met with Miss Kaylin back in the summer, I told her I was interested in a lot of different things, like maybe business or like law, a lot of different things, but I decided I would try out finance first. Because, so I was finance, so I was like, oh, like maybe I'll kind of try out that. I kind of want to dive deeper into business. And through this, I felt like I kind of, I was like, oh yeah, like, I really like the stuff that I'm doing. I feel like I'm learning a lot and stuff like that. I feel like I want to maybe dive deeper into business. So I've also even met with Ms. Kaylin to think about a summer internship, working with maybe another type of business, like hospitality or entrepreneurship or something like that. So I feel like this has definitely given me an opportunity to explore my options and kind of like make me realize like, oh yeah, I really do like this communication.
Just to build on what her said, so she want to do something a little bit different, so you have a different kind of experience in a different environment. So you can, have something to compare, and I think that's the direction it's going.
Thank you.
If I could just say something too, it's been great working with both Claire and Michelle. I think the process is very smooth. It's been nice because, Claire and I will sit down and we'll talk about projects or potential projects and kind of flesh them out, and trying to gear them based on some of her interests and also give her, I think, some different things that we do in the department. Next we're going to have her working with Sunny Cooks, auditing the books. That would be the next thing I'd really like to do is have her maybe do more of a financial project where it isn't that, some of the things that we do in the business office, but they're being behind money related. So I just want to thank her for all of her hard work. She's very prompt. When she says she's going to do something, she does it right away, and I think her work quality is very, it's hard for me to believe that she's a junior in high school, with the quality of work that she's producing. So just thank you both very much.
Thank you. That concludes your exploration.
Paul?
Questions, sir?
You're not quite done yet. I'd like to hear a little more about the summer internship program and how that works. I mean, you said you had 40-something applicants, so what happens? You vet them and then just try to place them somewhere?
Yeah, so I do have some folks who already, they know want to be mentors or interested in partnering with us for the program. So what I'm doing right now, I spent this week and next week meeting one-on-one with all of the students to get to know them, because a lot of them I've never met before. Get to know them, their interests, strengths, weaknesses, and that sort of thing. Kind of puts them through almost like a pre-interview a little bit, even though it's really a conversation. After I meet with all the students, I'm going to be doing a little bit of matching. I do tell the students I'm not placing you in internship, so once I identify something, so in this case, I'll use Becky as an example. I had asked if she would be interested in potentially hosting an intern. She was. I met with Claire and felt like, Claire would be potentially a good fit. So, and Claire and I worked on her resume together, so that's part of the process. And I then shared the resume with a potential mentor who then scheduled an interview with the student. I tell the students it's not meant to be stressful, right? For a chance for everybody to make sure that it's a good fit. And if the student or the mentor comes away from the interview feeling like it's not a good fit, that's okay. That's what happens in the world. So I'm not placing them someplace. They do have to go through the process and make sure it's a good fit for them. And then they determine what their schedule is going to be and how the logistics are going to work. So in terms of the summer program, meeting with the students helps me, and part of the reason why I did this so early, as student applications were due February 14th, is so I can see where do I still need more opportunities for students, what are the industries I'm seeing coming up over and over again. You can see a lot of healthcare, business, finance, marketing, right? Not super surprising. So, where are those industries and folks that I need to reach out to? I had a call with a bank today. I have another call tomorrow with a business that's interested potentially in a couple of different departments. So the site development is really ongoing.
Great. Thank you.
Other questions?
And Joan, yes, Joan?
Hi, Joan.
Hi, Michelle, how are you? Sorry that I'm not there tonight. I want to know if I may send you a contact that I have from a paramedic and a nurse who works for Patriot Ambulance. And she has a program where she is working with Marlboro High School right now in conjunction with the Marlboro Fire Department. And the students have to go through an interview process along with their parents because it's a good commitment. And what they do is they actually, she trains them through the class, and then they actually do some ambulance calls. But at the end of this program, some of them get certified to be, I can't remember exactly what their titles would be, but this is something that goes on through the school year. So they have to be out 1 or 2 classes. So I have Tammy's name, and she's Assistant Director of Training and Education. And I was wondering if I could send that through an email to you and Sean Bevan, and maybe that's something that you could pursue.
That would be great, and actually I am familiar with that program because Sean, you remember Jackie from Alpha High School. So I'm familiar with it from the education side, from a counterpart of mine at Marlboro High. So I would love the contact information. Thank you.
Okay, I'll send it to an email to you tomorrow, okay?
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Any contacts welcome.
Sure, I just have a comment, but I'd just like to, thank the superintendent, Mr. Bevan, and you for developing this program. It's kind of been an area of interest of mine for about 6 years, and to see it, going from its conception last year and to continue to grow, and to see the variety of programming available for students is tremendous, and I look forward to continue seeing it. And so I appreciate all the work you're doing to help students explore and find their passion. So thank
I
you.
appreciate the support, and I've gotten great support from Sean and from Greg, from Stephanie, just in terms of kind of trusting my vision and supporting the vision. And so I thank all of you for that as well, and seeing this as an important part of the work that needs to be done in the district.
Really proud of this program, and Michelle's done a wonderful job, and my appreciation to the committee for supporting this. It's not the kind of thing that every school has. These schools are developing it, and already schools are developing it and asking me for, job descriptions of what Michelle's doing. It's one of the very early and immediate success conversations that we're going to have.
Kathleen?
Sorry I missed it, because this was a lot, because it's so new and it's so, it's just incredible. But how do you go about recruiting mentors?
A lot of different
Or is it just
ways.
your Rolodex?
Part of it is that. Part of it is student driven in terms of what their interests are. We are members of the Quarter 9 Chamber, so I've attended events there and networked there. Some of it's just knowing, using my LinkedIn a lot. The Career Expo that Sean will talk about, the bank call that I had today was based on that. I reached out to a woman from there, and she put me in touch with her colleague who would be kind of in charge of something like this. So it's a lot of networking, talking to people.
That's great.
It's a range. It's a little bit of everything.
We really emphasize, and Michelle really does this, to emphasize for our students, they're ambassadors for our school. They represent our school when they're out working in the public, and also they're paving the way for future internship placements, potentially for students behind them. And our students have really risen to the challenge, and they do understand that this is good for them, but they also take part in developing this as a community asset and community program, and that their work will set the tone for future placements potentially.
Some of it's just cold outreach. So I had a student last summer who's interested in healthcare, and it can be a very tricky profession, especially for a high school student. So she actually ended up interning with them with their fire department in Mass and was able to run right along. They did a lot of teaching on W's, and they were marvelous there. So there is just sort of being creative and thinking about how could she get some exposure while not being hands-on, although she did end up being able to put a blood pressure cuff on patients. I was like, this is she got. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda is the school choice discussion.
So not as exciting as Michelle's. So as the committee knows, school choice is established under Mass General Law, and schools are assumed to participate in school choice unless they opt out and withdraw, which is conducted through a public hearing. So I am recommending that the school committee withdraw from school choice for the 25-26 school year for the following reasons. Financial disparity, we talk about the $5,000 we receive for accepting a school choice student versus the $22,000 plus amount of cost to educate a Northwest Southborough student in Algonquin. Class size and capacity, so I think the school committee's done a great job ensuring that class sizes are manageable and relatively small, so adding school choice students would only increase class size. And for those two reasons, I'm recommending that the school committee votes next month to withdraw from school choice. And the process is that next month we'll have a public hearing, hear any public comment, and then the school committee will take a vote. And then we'll submit that vote to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for their records.
Thank you. All right, next is approval of grants and donations.
So in your packet, there's a number of grants and donations. I'd like to thank Keith and Mike Gorman for a Maya grant in the amount of $10,000, which is going to for HVAC evaluation. So thank you, Mike Gorman, for writing that grant. Then we had the Ennisboro Reads last month, and the librarians across Northborough South from the region received $1,300 of in-kind donations to sponsor the event. And then, Sean, I don't know if you want to talk about the DECA program donation and the granite plaque.
So you'll see in your letter, there is a letter documenting that we received several donations, all toward DECA to help offset some of our DECA costs. You see them there. They're a Video Bank, Lexus of Northborough, St. Harris Credit Union, Wegmans, Andrew Abu Realtors at Northborough. So we thank each of them, and we send a thank you note to each of them, but they're consolidated into a document. And then as well, we have this was an undertaking Amelia may be able to speak to, but the student council would like to honor Mr. Walsh's memory by installing a plaque somewhere in a TBD location, and they had the Hayes Funeral Home develop a plaque, and Hayes Funeral Home, without us asking, or the students asking, wanted to donate that to us. So they delivered the plaque and said they did not.
Madam Coach did a great job of coordinating the plaque with the owner of Hayes Funeral Home, and we're really grateful for their generosity in honoring Mr. Walsh's memory.
All right. I think what I'd like to do is the granite plaque appears as item D on the grants and donations. I'm going to take that as a separate motion after the other three. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the MIA grant in the amount of $10,000 for HVAC evaluation. Also to approve the monetary donations in the amount of $1,300 and in-kind donations from Ennisboro Reads. Also, the approval of donations from various businesses totaling $3,500 for sponsorships of the DECA program. Video Bank in the amount of $500, Lexus of Northborough for $250, St. Mary's Credit Union for $1,000, Wegmans in the amount of $1,000, and Andrew Abu Realtors for $250, and Arturo's for $500.
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second by Kathleen. Any discussion? I would only make a comment that I've been doing this for a while now, and there are definitely a lot of businesses that I see come up over and over and over again, making donations to our school community. And I think that's great, the support that these businesses and organizations are showing to our school. So thank you very much. Continually, I mean repeatedly, for sure. All right, we will have a roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. The motion passes unanimously. I am looking for a motion to approve the donation of a granite plaque to the Student Council in memory of Richard Walsh from Hayes Funeral Home, valued at $117.
So moved.
Moved by Kathleen. Second by Paul. Any discussion? All right, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Did Joan?
Joan?
Sorry.
I just have one comment. I think this is a wonderful idea. Mr. Walsh has done so much even when he was employed and even when he wasn't doing his retirement career. I just also like to say that we do have a policy on plaques and markers placed at the school. So just whoever's going to be doing this, if they would be aware of that policy.
I will revisit that policy to make sure that we're following it to the letter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joan. To continue the vote, Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report to the committee.
So we have Amelia with our student report.
So, we'll just file it. Okay. So I wanted to continue the club spotlights. So this month I want to talk a bit about WISE, which is our Women in Science and Engineering Club. So WISE is a club that connects how women impact and are impacted by STEM with fun activities. The projects range from big to small, and they're currently focusing on exploring a variety of topics with peers, such as the applications of prosthetics, the importance of women in medical testing, and engineering projects. And so specifically in the bottom left of the pictures, they were making ice cream. And then another example is they were making cars in that bottom right picture. So WISE invites a lot of guest speakers. They do fun activities, and it's just a great way for women or female students to get exposure to STEM and to STEM fields. And so moving on, so what's on students' minds? So Carnival has been a big topic of discussion for a lot of students, especially seniors. Because of AP site placement, Carnival was moved to a Monday, which is also the seniors' last day. So there's been a lot of talk about that, and because of new insurance updates, there's going to be some different changes to Carnival this year, so that's come up, as well as the district's health policy, which will change how we serve food. So all of those are things that student council and all students are kind of thinking about in regards to Carnival and how that's going to look this year. We also have course selection, which is a huge deal for underclassmen, so fun. So there's new courses every year, there's amazing returning courses, and I think that's wrapped up. Okay, so wrapping up, so students have been working on that, and we also had the Host a Blood Drive recently, where students over 16 had the opportunity to donate blood to benefit the lives of others, and it was a great experience all around. And then the NEASC visit, which was super fun for the students that got pulled out. They got to come out and present to the NEASC visitors, so that was fun seeing new faces around the building. Any questions?
Yes. With Carnival, please tell me you're still gonna have the dunk tank?
We're going to have the dunk tank. That was a big,
Amelia, this year you're featuring school committee members.
feel free, come out there in a bathing suit and we'll dunk you off. But, so.
There's a waiver.
There's a waiver.
I just want to spotlight Amelia's leadership and student council are working through these shifts and changes to Carnival. Carnival's been around for decades, and they're adapting to the different landscape to just make it a really fun event. And I think there was a period of time where we were at least a little bit, we were a little bit worried, but I feel like we picked up some steam on really exciting new features that I actually think on the other side of this, it will be reinvented in a way that we're really excited.
A perk is that students won't have to pay for like lunch food this year. In the past, students have had to pay for burgers and hot dogs and pizza. And this year, that'll all be provided for students free of cost, so that's really exciting. And I know in the past, students haven't liked having to leave like their wallets around if they want to go to slip and slide or something, so that's fun. And we're bringing the powder puff back from last year, and that was a big hit. So that'll be really fun to continue on that tradition.
That's great. Any additional questions? Thank you very much for your report.
Like I can just pick up and provide my principal report.
That would be great.
So just two quick updates. One is the Career Expo with which Michelle Caitlin referenced, and it's probably the last year I'll provide the update on it because it's the third year we've done it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment, and then I'll give you a little bit more, spend a little bit more time than that on the DS visit, which just wrapped up last week. So the Career Expo I developed with the Marlborough Regional Chamber of Commerce. This is the third year, so it was about 2 years ago that we developed it. And the vision for that was to provide students with access to regional industry, and industries in the area, so that they were just learning about what's available to them. And that group has really risen to the challenge to make it an exciting and fun event, and 6 schools participate, so all the neighboring schools and their principals, as well as I do, participated as facilitators for these events. dominant sector where our students, as well as Westboro, Marlboro, Pleasant Valley, several of those schools got to rotate through and hear from individuals in 7 industry areas. It was hosted by the Salmon Pond Mall, so students got to spend the morning in the mall, like going in and out of these spaces and meeting these individuals, and a lunch was provided by Marlboro Regional Chamber of Commerce. So this is easily the most successful year we've had, and I think next year I probably won't report on it because it's starting to become a staple of what our spring programming is for students of all kinds of interests, students who are college bound, but also students who are not. So that was an exciting development to see start to take shape in a way that is really important. The NEASC, as I reported before, is the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. Complete their visit on March 10th through 12th. So they were here on a Monday through Wednesday. Spent 3 days. Really, the first 2 days are spent just fully embedding themselves here in our school. And the goal of that is to complete the 10-year process of review, which I've explained in the past, so I won't overdo it. 2 years ago, we finished what was called or completed the collaborative conference report. That is the year 8 of the 10-year cycle. It's like probably the most intense part of that whole cycle. And in year 8, they identified some areas that we could work on, which they did. And in year 10, which just happened this past week, they check up on what progress we've made on the big key areas they identified in year 8. 8 individuals came out from all across New England. They're educators of all different types, and they spent 3 days in our school. They were set up in the Career Resource Center as a bit of a war room, and they met members of this committee, the assistant superintendent, they had students, and probably the highlight easily, none of you know probably about it, was we created a student showcase here in this room where students came 9 through 12, all levels, all different content areas where students just spoke. We produced a piece of student work, and they just talked about, in a kind of rotating fashion, what they learned, what they liked about that assignment, what they liked about their school, what they liked to change. So it was a really, wonderful moment that I actually wish our teachers almost had an opportunity to have. And at the end of this whole process, we will receive a draft version of the report in 4 to 6 weeks. I'll have an opportunity to correct any inaccuracies or anything in that report that I have a concern about, and then the final report along with our accreditation will come through the summer. The reason I believe our accreditation is in question at all. We've got a lot of very strong feedback from the committee about the warmth of our school and specifically the relationships that our students have with each other and our students have with our adults. And the culture of our school really shown as a strength. We will learn really from them what they'd like to see us work on and refine more in the next process forward. I do want to take a moment to spotlight Matt Gaten, who's our assistant principal. He just started this year. He's been here for longer, which is a compliment to him. He organized this entire visit, and which takes a huge amount of just the logistical preparations and involved in comparison with the students. So we're happy to have them come and happy to see them off with what's felt like a very successful visit. Are there any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
Congratulations getting through it. It is, speaking from experience, it is a long, reflective process. So I'm sure a lot of good information will come from it and a lot of highlights too. But congratulations making through it. Take a breath.
Yeah,
Take a breath.
Our team and the department heads also spent a great deal of time preparing the reports and
in addition to everything else teachers and administration does to do this is a lot. I just want to recognize that.
I will share that along.
Thank you very much, Principal Bevin.
I thought you were going to say the highlight was the interview with the school committee member. Dr. Reinhardt.
I think that was understood. I will, another highlight with students.
All right, right, so continuing on with the superintendent's report, in your packet is the enrollment report as of February 14th, so no significant changes. And we are looking ahead to next year, making sure that our enrollment projections are accurate, which so far they are holding true. And then I'll turn it over to Becky for the financial reports.
Okay, so first, I'll discuss the line item transfers. So, in the report that's included in your packet, which represents, expenses from July 1st of 2024 through February 2025, there's one function code that is showing, or one new function code, I should say, that is showing as overexpended, and that is 4450, which is our tech infrastructure, account. And that is due to the purchase of a new district-wide server that is actually shared across the 3 districts. And that is something that John Parent and his team worked to implement over the last few months. So that's the reason for that over expenditure. In terms of the monthly general fund report, you can see that our bottom line, or our ending balance as of February 28th is $380,000, or 1.36% of the total operational budget. This does represent a decrease of about $175,000 from the previous month. I will say that much of that change, and I did outline this in the committee's report, is due to some timing issues with when the report was run compared to when we were actually generating our payroll. And that's something that I had highlighted to the committee previously. And then the other larger item is due to some transportation invoices that were received as purchase orders that were entered for our athletics transportation for the winter sports. We are very close to where we have reported in previous years. Last year we were at a 2.47, and the prior year we were at a 1.76. So we're a little bit lower than where we were, but I think that we also have funds available to us in our transportation accounts that we plan to use to offset this operational budget, and we will be making that adjustment over the coming weeks. So you'll see that reflected in next month's report. So at this point, I welcome any comments on either of those two items that I just presented.
Any comments or questions? I guess I would just have a question. After making the transfer from the transportation account, will we be, and using the E&D that we've already approved for our upcoming budget, will we still be within our policy for E&D?
So the transportation money is in a separate account, it's actually in the regional transportation fund. We have $155,000, so that will be reflected on the bottom line, that will go back to the bottom line. E&D is separate from that, but yes, it's still be within.
All right. At this time, then, I will entertain a motion to approve the FY25 budget line item transfers and the FY25 monthly general fund expenditure report until audited. Moved by John. Second by Chris. Any discussion? All right, we'll have a roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Motion passes unanimously.
So in February, we did receive our March 1st assessments from both the towns of Northborough and Southborough. We also received our first installment of our regional transportation funds, which was almost half of what we anticipate receiving in FY25. So we're close to being done with the third quarter of fiscal year 2025. And as you can see, that the total revenue collections total 72.62%. So we are really in line with the projections that we set out for this year.
Does anybody have any questions on the statement of revenue? Right. Then I will entertain a motion to approve the FY25 statement of revenue until audited. Moved by Paul. Second by Sean. Any discussion? All right, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the FY26 School Committee approved budget. We need to actually take a vote on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but we actually have to have a 2/3 vote of all of the members of the school committee. And so I believe we had taken a vote at the last meeting, but we didn't have even though we had a quorum, we didn't have a sufficient number of members for the vote to be accurate. So at this time, so there are no changes from that budget, or?
No, Keith, if we can turn the TV on, I can put that amount. So two things, we need a 2/3 majority, as Chris shared, and also to vote to assessments. So the recommended budget for FY26 is $99,598,094, which is an increase of $1,726,668, or a 6.2% increase over fiscal year 25, which is up from the budget that we were hoping to present at the February meeting, but received news of increased health insurance costs, which made us go back to the drawing board. So this amount reflects the increased health insurance costs. So it's a 6.2%.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 budget, total of $29,598,094, an increase of 6.2% compared to the 2025 budget.
All right, motion by Matt.
Second?
Second by Paul. Any additional discussion? All right, we'll have a roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen? Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. The motion passes unanimously with the 2/3, minimum 2/3 majority.
All right, so now for the assessments. So we need to approve the non-exempt, the total assessment for each of the communities for Northborough and Southborough. So for Northborough, the assessment will be $15,900,294, which is an increase of $805,087, or a 5.33% increase over fiscal year 25 assessment. And for Southborough, the assessment is $10,070,308, which is a $615,889 increase over fiscal year 25, or a 6.51% increase. And this does include the use of $675,000 of excess and deficiency.
So moved.
Motion by Paul,
Seconded.
second by Matt. Any discussion? All right, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda, warrant articles, preparation for town meetings.
Sure. So on April 7th, the Southborough, Town of Southborough is holding its town meeting. It's a Monday evening, and the warrant article for the Southborough's portion of the school roof at Algonquin, or a portion of the school roof, will be presented. So we need approval of that warrant article, and then if anyone is interested in attending and reading the article into records, that'd be great. And I believe the warrant article is in your packet.
Yes. Do we need to vote on the wording of that warrant article? Okay. So I will entertain a motion to approve the warrant article for, this is specifically for Southborough, for Algonquin Regional High School roof repair, as worded in the packet. Moved by Kathleen, second by Chris. Any discussion? All right, we'll have a roll call vote. John?
Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry, Paul, I'm sorry.
So there's no amount attached to this?
So this is part of the assessment that you just voted on.
Okay.
So that's the exempt and non-exempt.
This
Correct.
is non-exempt capital.
It is kind of strange to,
I'm glad I don't have to explain it.
okay, we'll restart the roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen? Paul?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The motion passes unanimously. All right. The next item on the agenda is old business. There is none at this time. Policy development and/or distribution, there is none at this time. This is an opportunity now for additional public comment, either from the public or the committee. Not hearing any public comment. Personnel?
So it is a very brief personnel report. We've had one edition of an ESP, so that is in your packet.
Thank you. There are no communications at this time. The approval of bills and payrolls is electronic. And agenda items for next month are school choice public hearing and vote, mathematics department presentation, technology update, Southborough Town meeting recap, student handbook in May, reappoint district treasurer and assistant treasurer in May, program of studies in May, election of officers in May, and health and fitness department presentation in June. Does anybody have anything they wish to add to the agenda? Matt?
I'd like to add executive session for school safety. Yeah, I've asked for it before. And I just don't know if this is meant, forgive me, if it's meant to be for next meeting, or if it's just like an agenda of items that we'd like to address at some point in time.
Okay, I think we were addressing some of that.
Yeah, so we have an executive session tonight.
Those tonight, okay, forgive me.
But we
That's okay.
can, if we don't cover all of the topics, we can definitely add.
All right, certainly if anything comes up that you want to add to the agenda, please feel free to send me.
Oh, it's there, yeah. My apologies.
No apologies necessary. So at this time, we're going to have a roll call vote to enter into executive session to discuss the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect thereto, and not reconvene in open session. So we'll do a roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes. Need to be seconded.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'll have a motion. Sorry. I made a motion. That's the motion I made. All right. So let's get a second on this one. Hey, Paul, are you interested in second?
Why don't I?
All right, great, thank you. All right. So let's try this again. John? Chris?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Matt? Yes. Sean?
Yes.
Joan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The open session is adjourned at 8:01 and we're entering the executive session.